Have you ever stared at your phone, reading the same message again and again, trying to figure out what changed? A few days ago, he felt warm, interested, present. And now, short replies, distance, silence that suddenly feels louder than words. And your mind starts racing. Did I say too much? Was I too available? Did I make him lose interest? Why does this always happen to me? You try to stay calm. You tell yourself not to overthink, but your chest still tightens when his name doesn't appear. And the hardest part? It's not even the silence itself. It's the meaning your heart attaches to it. Because when someone pulls away, it can quietly awaken every fear you thought you healed. The fear of not being chosen, not being enough, not being worth staying for. So you start analyzing everything: his tone, his timing, his energy. You replay conversations in your head at night like evidence in a trial, trying to solve something that was never meant to be solved through anxiety. And most women never realize this. Sometimes the deepest pain isn't rejection, it's uncertainty. Because uncertainty keeps hope alive while slowly exhausting your nervous system. You don't know whether to let go or hold on tighter, so you wait, emotionally suspended, half hopeful, half heartbroken. And somewhere inside you, there's a quiet voice asking, why do I always feel like I have to earn love? That question changes everything. Because this is where the story actually begins. Not with him, with you. With the part of you that learned love must be protected, managed, maintained. The part that believes if you say the right thing, do the right thing, be understanding enough, soft enough, patient enough, maybe he'll stay. But here's the part no one talks about. Real emotional safety never comes from convincing someone not to leave. It comes from knowing you will never abandon yourself again. And that shift, it changes the entire energy of your relationships. First, you need to understand something very important. Your reaction makes sense. You are not weak because you feel affected. You are human. When connection suddenly changes, your nervous system notices. Especially if inconsistency has hurt you before, the body remembers emotional unpredictability. That's why even small distance can feel enormous. It's not just about him taking longer to reply. It's what the silence represents emotionally. Distance can trigger old wounds quietly, the fear of emotional abandonment, the fear of becoming too much, the fear that love disappears without warning. And many women blame themselves for this reaction. They say things like, I hate that I care this much. I need to stop being emotional. I'm probably just attached. But attachment is not proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that you're emotionally invested. The problem begins when investment turns into self-abandonment. And that usually happens slowly, not dramatically. You start monitoring his mood more than your own. You start prioritizing connection over peace. You become emotionally available even when your needs are ignored. Not because you're desperate, because you're hoping closeness will restore safety. Most women don't realize an anxious mind is often just a nervous system searching for certainty. Not weakness, not irrationality, safety. And once you understand that, you stop attacking yourself for feeling deeply. You stop saying, what's wrong with me? And you begin asking, what inside me feels unsafe right now? That question creates compassion instead of shame. Because healing never begins through self-criticism. It begins through awareness. Calm awareness. The kind that says, I understand why I feel this way, but I no longer want fear to lead my decisions. That is emotional maturity. Not becoming emotionless. Learning not to panic inside your emotions. Now let's talk about something deeper. Why do some men pull away even when things seemed good? Here's what many women are never told. Sometimes distance has very little to do with your worth and everything to do with emotional capacity. Not everyone knows how to sustain closeness. Some people enjoy connection until it requires consistency, until vulnerability becomes real, until emotional responsibility enters the room. And this is where everything shifts, because many women personalize withdrawal immediately. If he changed, I must have caused it. But attraction dynamics are rarely that simple. Some men pull away when overwhelmed. Some pull away when emotionally confused. Some pull away because they enjoy attention more than commitment. and some were never emotionally available to begin with. That does not excuse poor behavior, but it does explain why over-blaming yourself becomes dangerous. Because once you believe his inconsistency defines your value, you start working harder for stability that should have been mutual from the beginning. And here's the hidden psychology most people miss. Love cannot grow properly where emotional safety is unstable. You cannot relax into connection when you're constantly trying to secure reassurance. That isn't intimacy, that's emotional survival. And survival mode changes your energy. You become hyper-aware, hyper-attentive, hyper-focused on preserving connection. Meanwhile, the relationship slowly stops feeling like peace and starts feeling like emotional labor. Most women don't realize this. Healthy love does not require constant emotional decoding. You shouldn't have to investigate someone's intentions every day. Clarity feels calm. Confusion feels addictive because the brain keeps searching for resolution. That's why emotionally inconsistent relationships can feel intense. Not because they're deep, because uncertainty activates emotional obsession. And once you understand that, you stop romanticizing emotional instability as passion. You begin craving consistency more than chemistry. And that is a very powerful shift. When distance appears, many women immediately move into fixing mode. They become softer, more available, more understanding. They try to repair the energy before fully understanding what actually changed. And it comes from a beautiful place sometimes. Love, fear, hope. But here's the problem. When fear leads connection, people can feel it emotionally, even without words. Energy communicates before language does. Trying too hard to hold someone close often creates pressure instead of intimacy. Because now the relationship becomes centered around keeping him comfortable instead of staying connected to yourself. This is where emotional power quietly disappears. Not because you cared, because you abandoned your center while caring. There's a difference. A grounded woman can love deeply without collapsing emotionally around uncertainty, and that groundedness changes everything. Because chasing usually comes from panic, and panic says, "Please choose me so I can feel safe again." But self-respect says, "I care about this connection, but I will not betray myself trying to keep it." That energy feels entirely different. Calm, steady, clear. Most women don't realize over-functioning in relationships often teaches people they can give less while still receiving more from you. You become emotionally available without reciprocity, present without reassurance, loyal without clarity. And slowly, you train yourself to accept emotional crumbs while calling it patience. This is where everything shifts. Because love should not require emotional exhaustion to sustain itself. You should not constantly feel like the emotional glue holding everything together. Real connection has movement from both sides, effort from both sides, presence from both sides.